Hey everyone, it's Jack, and today I'm going to take a look at Bluestar Linux. Bluestar Linux is an Arch-based distribution, and it is running KDE using Latte dock, and I believe also the standard KDE panel. So we have one on the bottom and one on the top. And so one of the goals of Bluestar Linux is to have a solid OS that provides a breadth of functionality with the ease of use without sacrificing aesthetics. And it does look really aesthetically pleasing from what I'm seeing here in the pictures. And here's a few samples, some screenshots, and it looks kind of cool. In the KDE environment here, we have a few different variations of this release. So apparently it comes in a desktop and a normal version, and then a Pro desktop or Desktop Pro, which I think is multimedia centered, and then a development, which probably has everything. So here we got our ISO file, and the most recent one is from December 19th, which was just yesterday. So that's a pretty new release. I'm going to go ahead and just download this guy, and then I'm going to load it in, and I'll be right back. See you in a second. Okay, here we are. We're in our boot screen. So I'm going to go ahead and boot in, and then we'll take a look at the live version here. And then I'm going to run you quickly through the install, because the install, given that they have different variations here, there might be some differences in the install compared to like a regular install with your standard Calamarys. There's probably some extra steps. So here we are in the live desktop, and it looks really good so far. Wow, I like the blur effect there behind the messages. And here we have, I'm going to open up my terminal here, and let's just kind of adjust the size real quick. So a little X-Render 1920 by 1080, and there we go. That's better. So got that out of the way. And wow, looks like it's only running 651 megabytes of RAM right now. So that's pretty good on the resources. KDE has really gotten very efficient here, and I am liking that. So good to see. And I see we're running the 5.15 kernel. Very good. And wow, look at the menu. Yes, the menu's got a beautiful blurring effect behind it too, that semi-opacity. So I'm liking that. So already off the bat, there's our Latte dock. I believe that's Latte. Let me just right click here. Yep, configure Latte. So then if we come up here, let's take a look at this guy. And yeah, that looks more like the standard KDE panel here. So it looks like we got our standard KDE panel on top and the Latte dock down here. Nice. So I'll just close out the terminal, and then here we have, looks like our folder view widget that is showing the desktop or the folder icons there from your file manager. So that's kind of neat. I like that. I think I could like that actually. So I'm going to open up my installer now, and let's just take a look at this install real quick, and then we'll get right to the meat of it. So we'll open this up. And so, okay, here's our installer. And here it's showing our type of installation. So basic is the default. Then we got desktop. I would assume basic is probably a very light install without too much stuff pre-installed. Desktop, and then we have Desktop Pro, which I think is kind of more multimedia centered, has a lot more of those type apps. And then developer is probably like the big full stack everything. Is kind of my guess. So that's probably got everything in there. Typically I would probably go desktop, but for the sake of this review, let's go with the Desktop Pro, because I kind of like to see what little extras are in there, even though I'm not really comparing it to anything. But it should have a lot of multimedia choices. And these defaults, I'm just going to click next on those. They're good. Then erase disk, and then for our swap, I think I'm going to go with swap with hibernate. That way I can come out of hibernation without losing my session, hopefully. So we'll hit next. And then just type in my username here. I like to go with Toadwick on my reviews. So we'll do that. And then password. And then I'll go with use the same password for the administrator account. I like to do that. Oh, here it looks like we can pick out our general look. If we don't select anything and just hit next, we should just have the same background after install with the planets there. Otherwise, it looks like we can choose a different type of wallpaper and splash screen, apparently. So that's kind of cool. I'm assuming the picture part is the wallpaper. And I kind of noticed that changed the opacity there on the menu and the desktop file view widget there. When I hit that, so that must be like an indication that, you know, we changed something, I guess. That kind of looks kind of nice, the dark leaf and flowers. I kind of like that because I'm thinking of going with a dark theme probably, so that would be kind of a nice contrast. So I'll go with that. Then we'll hit install and continue. Yes, I'll let this thing install and then I'll be right back when it's complete. Okay, so I am back. We are at 91%, and we have this window up here that opened up during the install. And so apparently this is kind of managing some of the installs. So I decided to start the video again and let you see this because it looks like it's installing things. And I'm assuming that when it gets through its course here that I'm probably going to have to hit, there we go, this close button. So let me just click that and it should let us continue. Otherwise, I think it's just going to stay there at 91%. And got another window opening. And this time it's, okay, now it's showing packages. And it looks like this yes, no, proceed question is automatically answered, yes. So now it's retrieving the packages. So we don't really have to do any input on our part. And so I'm going to let it download those packages and then I'll pause it and be back when it's done downloading. Okay, it's downloaded and it looks like everything went well. So I'm just going to hit close. And now theoretically this should start working again this night. Yeah, there we go, 94. So now we're back in the game and that's it. Install complete. Nice. I'm just going to restart the system here. And if I didn't screw anything up too bad, it should work. So here's our boot screen again. I still have my CD image in there, so I'm going with boot current OS, and there's our actual screen. So let's see how this looks. We should have a boot menu here pretty soon. Wow, it looked like some of those letters were upside down. Okay, let's log in. And there's our splash screen. That looks pretty cool. Or I guess that's our background maybe, too. Or as well. Yeah, okay. So here we are, we're in our desktop. Nice. And so I'm going to firstly set my resolution again. I'm just going to jump in here, and this time I'm going to do it through the display settings instead of Xrender, because sometimes when I use Xrender and then I launch a certain app, sometimes apps won't always scale to the proper scale for some reason with the resolution. So I like to do this. It's kind of rare when that happens, but it has happened to me a few times. So I'll just do it through the display here. Or the settings, I mean. So good. Excellent. That's more civilized. So let's take a look around and see what we got here. So there's our Latte dock. Here's our normal panel, or our KDE panel actually. And so yes, this menu looks so cool. I really like this blur effect behind the transparency. That's really nice. And there we got development apps, a ton of them. And then here's our clock, and when you click on it, you got a calendar there. And beautiful calendar. And again, we got that that blur behind the transparency effect. That's really nice. Just gives it a really polished look. And then we got a calculator here. That's cool. I like that. And then this is like our status indicator for our system load. And it's showing less than 1% CPU. And I think that said 651. Yeah, 651 or 52 megabytes of RAM resources. So that's nice. I like the conky over there, by the way. And here's our keyboard language. And we can easily activate Chinese pinyin in there. I like that. That's cool. And then here we got our audio volume, of course. And then our network settings and network list there. And then another audio. This is kind of like a direct volume control. And then our status and notifications. Excellent. We even have Octopi notifier. And I guess I can't click that from there. That probably has to be open from the menu, but no big deal. Then we got Dolphin, and then show desktop. And then these are our workspaces here. So we can kind of look at the different desktops. By default, there's 4. And then we got Dolphin, our file manager. I think I'll take a look at that. And that looks really nice. Wow, I like the icons too. Very cool. I noticed that up here too in this file view widget. By the way, if you want to remove that, you can do that right here. Just simply right click and select the remove folder view, and that'll get rid of that if you don't like having it there. So just, now this kind of throws me off a little bit. The icons don't look real great in the toolbar, and I see that a lot with certain distros or with dark themes. A lot of times dark themes for some reason don't work all the time for toolbars and sometimes menus. But anyway, in our development here, wow, it's just tons of stuff. I noticed that before, and we got G#. That's interesting. So it looks like there's some C# development stuff installed here by default. That's neat. I like that. Very cool. The development side of it is just really loaded, it seems like. And this, I think, is related to C# to .NET. Okay. I've never really used this before, so I'm not 100% sure how you would use that. Yeah, it seems like it's really got some orientation towards .NET and C# development. That's kind of interesting. And then there's JEdit, which is a nice little editor. KDE SVN, so you got subversion access right out of the bat. And a lot of different things, even the Qt stuff. Qt Creator is really nice. I've used Qt Creator and developed in that a number of times and really like it. Typically I've played with this with C++, and I think I even tried a Python. Yeah, that kind of looks nasty. Yeah, so we definitely got some minor issues there with the theming. I'm not too impressed with the way the theming is kind of working in here, at least the dark theme. Even though it looks kind of cool, but when you get to things like this, the menus and toolbars, it just doesn't work, at least not for me. So I think one thing you would have to do is kind of tweak this a little bit out of the box. At least I would. So I'm going to kind of go with the light theme here and just kind of see what that looks like. I think I'm going to have to restart that. So let me just close Qt Creator and open it back up again. There we go. And let's see it now. Yeah, that's better. Okay, but we're in a light mode. So if you like a dark theme, I think we'd have to kind of come up with a different option for maybe our global theme. So I'll hit appearance here and see what we got. Breeze Twilight usually works pretty good, but it seems like these BSLX themes just don't. When I was off camera in the live mode, I tried some of those other themes just to explore it, and they all kind of had that same problem. So I would kind of rule out all those BSLX if you want to run dark. So Breeze Twilight, I think, is a good start. And I'm coming back in. I went out of the settings and back in because I want to switch to the dark theme using the quick start here. It just saved me a second because now let's kind of take a look at it. But I got to restart it again to get the updated results. I have a feeling it's probably going to be dark and nasty again, but just to double check. So let's open this. Take another look at the menu. Yeah, back to dark. That's not really usable in my opinion. So definitely I think I'm gonna have to go in the system settings and probably like change the plasma look there. So if I jump up here to appearance and then back to Breeze Twilight, and I'll just apply that. And then maybe the plasma style. I don't know. But let's see what else we got here in our global themes, because there might be something else that works better. Yeah. Let's try maybe get new global themes. See if we have better luck with that. And then I'm going to just sort this by highest rated instead of recent. And wow, there's Google Chrome. That could be interesting. And Sweet KDE, I know that has generally worked really well. But Chrome one looks kind of interesting. Maybe I'll go install that one just to kind of see. I would think that would kind of work. And it's really highly rated, just like the Sweet theme. So I'll hit install here. And it crashed the app. Okay. Hopefully it installed. So restart it here and see if it went in. So back to appearance. And let's scroll down. See if it's in there somewhere. There it is. Yes. So it did install. Nice. I'm going to select that. And it looks like it updated in there really nice. Got a dark background there on the Latte, and up here I'm just going to jump back up into development again and see what our menu looks like. Just off the cuff. Before I go to stage 2. And it's still black. Okay. Yeah, I'm thinking plasma style is probably where I want to go next. So I'm going to click that. Or even application style maybe. I can't remember. But I think it's probably plasma style. Let's look at our colors real quick. Maybe we can do it right in here. We got our high contrast. There's our Chrome OS, but I wonder what high contrast looks like. Now let's see how it looks. Nothing. Yes. Okay. This time I'm really going to the style. Let's look at application style real quick. See what our choices are. Or I mean, global theme. So we got our global theme at Twilight. I think I'm going to leave it at Twilight. And then I think if we go to plasma style, then we can kind of get the other areas dark without messing with the menus and stuff. But instead of Breeze Dark, let's try the Chrome OS. And I like the little transparency we got already in there. So that's looking kind of cool. I like that. And then if we jump in our Qt Creator again, look at the menu, and the menu still looks cool. So yes, it's not a dark menu, but I think that's a pretty good compromise because our application menu is dark and our bars are dark, which I like. And I guess if I wanted to keep messing with it, I could go on and install more global themes and find something that has better compatibility. But out of the box, I would say not overly impressed with the theming, but that's kind of a minor thing, nothing that can't be tweaked and fixed afterwards. But let's try a custom color here. That kind of looks cool there, the pink highlighting, hit apply. Wow, nice. That's a pretty nice touch. I probably might stick with a custom here. Let's see what green looks like. Wow, that looks cool too. Kind of a mint green, isn't it? And then purple. Ooh, that looks even better. I like the purple. I think I might go with that. Probably this shade here. And then we got our other stuff down here, like our icons. Let's maybe change back our icons, because I noticed that changed. I think by default we were using maybe compass, but we got a lot of choices here. And breeze is where we're at now. I'm going to change it back to compass. And also have, yeah, Ponzia orange or whatever that is. Potenza, I guess. Gonna hit apply. There we go. Yes, got our compass back. Icons. I like those icons. They look kind of cool. So now when I open up Dolphin, we got those nice icons. No dark background in the Dolphin, but the icons are looking good. And that's kind of important. And the same in LibreOffice, you know, that would be affected too. So here's our splash screens. We got Chrome OS Dark. So this is the splash screen that has been changed to since we updated our global theme. Typically I use none for splash screens because I prefer just skipping those. But if I was going to use some, they got some nice choices in here. And I like this one too. That is cool. Wow. Yeah, so a lot of choices here with splash screens. So you can preview your splash screens, which is nice in KDE. Then we have our workspace behavior. And if I click on this, then we can see I like to go and use a double click when I select a folder in Dolphin. So I'm going to select clicking files or folders selects them. By default, it's on opens them, which will be a single click. But I'm more used to a double click. I'm just kind of traditional that way. So I'm changing that. I'm going to hit apply. Then we have our desktop effects. So this is where we were getting our cool effects like the blur and all that. In fact, there's the blur and background contrast. That's really cool. And minimize, screen edge. We got our thumbnail aside, wobbly windows. I'm always a fan of wobbly. I like that too. So yes, and then here's where your window close, your glide effect and magic lamp and all that good stuff. So a lot of nice choices there. And then screen edges, typically I turn those off. For me, they're kind of annoying if I'm dragging windows around because I tend to hit those by mistake. So typically I just kind of set those to no action. However, if you're not annoyed by those, they can kind of be handy if you like to use those. And then we have our touchscreen settings, which I just I forgot to hit apply there on my screen edge adjustment. And then here's our screen locking. Automatic screen lock is unchecked, which is where I like it. And then we have our virtual desktop settings and activities. And then back here we go. Here's window management. And that's not a menu, by the way. That's just a preview of what's inside that category. If you try to click on that, it'll just disappear. So here's our categories here on the right taskbar. And that's the preview that you saw back here. And then we got shortcuts. Let's see what's in there. All right, so these are all our keyboard shortcuts. There's KRunner. By default, typically Alt space is the shortcut for that. And so if you come up here and click on it, then it should give us other things. And then we got all this stuff down here. So there's a lot of things that are already preset in here. And you can easily change those keyboard shortcuts. So for example, if I was going to come up here and hit Alt F, click on this drop down, then you can see here we got search Alt space, which is the one I use, and then Alt F2. Just by checking that. But I could add a custom shortcut by clicking on the button over there. Also, if I wanted to change it to something else like Alt Y I P and Control. No, kidding. So now here's our account settings. And here you can change your avatar pretty easily and I don't want to slide that down. I just want to use the, there we go. I'm using my mouse. For some reason the scroll bar didn't go. So yeah, I think I'll go with the kitten again. I'm just a big fan of, a big fan of kittens and cats. Then we got our regional settings, accessibility, applications, backups, KDE wallet, online accounts. So if you like live and all those other online accounts and you want to sync with it, it makes it easy. And our input devices, typically I go in here. I forgot to hit apply again. Rats. I always forget to hit that apply. I'm kind of used to XFCE and some of these other desktops that change automatically. So turn on. I want to turn on my numlock settings here. So I like to have my numlock turned on. So I'm going to turn that on because it's kind of annoying when you use your numlock and then you log back in or restart and it's gone. And forgot to hit apply again. Hit apply, Jack. So here's our left-handed mode if you're a lefty for your mouse. And then in display and monitor, that's where I was before when I had adjusted our display to 1920 by 1080. And then we got our other things like the compositor setting. The compositor, of course, is what allows us to have those cool little effects like our blurring and our background effects and so forth. And there's night color. So that'll automatically detect between sunset to sunrise and between those hours at my longitude, which is showing up here, that should go automatically into night mode. But it's just spinning, so I don't think it's actually going to change today. So I'll just kind of, yeah. Well, it did apply, I guess. So I'll just kind of turn that off and go back to audio. And these are our audio settings where you can set up for your speakers and all that. And then we got our codec settings for audio CDs and so forth. Then printers, removable storage, and then about. Let's check our about here real quick. So running Arch Linux, KDE Plasma 5.23.4, and the 5.89 framework, Qt 5.15.2, and then running our 5.15.10 Arch kernel. Nice, on X11. So very good. Okay, onward and upward. So our Latte dock down here, really nice console and our VLC player, LibreOffice, and then we have FileZilla and Thunderbird, which is a mail client. And then we got our Firefox and Chromium. I like the fact that we got both. And then Pigeon Internet Messenger, Transmission, which is a torrent client, and then our system settings here. And then, of course, the old dustbin, the trash can, or recycle bin, I guess most people like to call it. And then here, let's open up Chromium. And this should be the latest version, I would think, being an ArchSpin, should be around 96, I think. 96.0, 4664. That looks pretty cutting edge to me. So back up here in our menu, let's see what other kinds of stuff we got. So under education, we got mathematics, LibreOffice Math, and then some miscellaneous stuff and math again. And then under card games, we got K-Patience, which I think is an equivalent to Solitaire. And then we got Digicam, which is a great picture management, Inkscape and Color Paint, and then we got View Noir, which is one of my favorite image viewers. That's really cool. And then under Internet, we got our Chromium, Dropbox, that's interesting, FileZilla FTP client, Firefox, KGet, Conqueror, which is kind of a light browser, KTorrent for torrents, and then another FTP client, Megasync. So if you got a Mega account, that's kind of interesting to see that there. Cool. Can manage. And then we got Putty, which is nice for setting, doing SSH and stuff like that. And terminal, talking to your hardware directly. And then we got multimedia. Here's, I think, some of the extras that were installed by choosing Desktop Pro. So we got the Amarok and Audacity and Dragon Player. And it looks like down there is Juke and K3B. Kden Live, that's cool. I'm liking that. The music score, 3.6, cool. And yeah, a lot of stuff here. SM-Tube, that's cool. Spotify, Tux Guitar, huh, that's interesting. SM-Tube, I think that's a Windows app. I didn't know they had a Linux version. That's kind of neat. Ah, creating wine prefix. So it's running wine. Nice. So that means wine is installed by default too. That's cool. I like that. A lot of times when I install a Linux distro, wine for some reason is rarely included. I gotta install it separately. So I'm liking that that's in there, and it's installing the Silverlight 5 for wine in there right now. And let's see what version this is. Wow, we're running version 7, so very cutting edge. 7.0 RC1 staging. Nice. Just kind of amplify that a little bit, or magnify. And even with this stuff running, we're still only using about 1.3 gigs of memory. Not bad. And there we go. So you can go in here and look for YouTube categories and watch your favorite videos. I've never actually used this. So let's stick a search term in here like Jack Kiefer. That guy, he's interesting. And he looks like me. That's the amazing thing. So yeah, there's some results. I do have a few videos in here. Wow. That is cool. You are awesome. Wow, thank you. And there's my old golf days. Nah, I'm kidding. So, all right. That was neat. Onward and upward. Here's our Office suite and a lot of stuff. Calibre, ebook editors and viewers. Wow, all kinds of stuff. And then, of course, LibreOffice. I'm going to open up Calc real quick. The menu should look kind of normal now with the changes we made, kind of light mode-ish. But yeah, and it looks good. But if you're in dark mode, I looked at this in the live version and the toolbar looked awful with the default theme. You couldn't even see half the icons. But you could go to Tools and Options and change your icons in there. Or you can change your theme inside LibreOffice too. So there are ways around that, actually, without changing your global theme. And then here in Settings, Grub Customizer. Let's take a quick look. So this is a GUI front end for customizing your grub. And so that's pretty handy if you don't like being in the terminal and having to edit the config file manually. And so here is where you can kind of, like here you can change your default. Right now it's 5 seconds before it goes into a boot showing your menu. However, I can make that 1 second. I could even make it 0 seconds. So yeah, I like that. Makes it really easy. Then here you can kind of set a theme if you like in your splash screen, even your resolution. Starfield looks like the default theme, but you can also choose all these other different kind of things over here. Or actually that's the contents maybe of the star theme. I'm not sure. But yeah, it makes it easy to fix that. So an easy way to mess with Grub. And then back here, if we go and take a look at our system, tons of stuff in here again. So let's take a look at HTOP and just kind of see what it's looking like right now. Yeah, wow, still pretty impressive. Got things open. I've been doing all kinds of adjusting and tweaking and everything else, and still we're at 953 megs. That's really good. I'm telling you. Impressive. And if I close that and go down here, then we can see our memory is 875 now on our Conky. So even just closing the overhead of the console. Nice. Let's take a look at Octopi. Octopi is our GUI front end for Pac-Man, our package manager. And Octopi kind of reminds me of like the Arch equivalent of Synaptic, because it's not heavy on graphics. You don't have graphics loading in and all that. It's very lightweight. So like here I just selected Blender, and so all I have to do is right click on it, hit install, and then there's a CUDA toolkit, I guess. I really didn't have to check that because I don't use NVIDIA, so that was dumb. But anyway, this is just an example anyway. So now if I want to install that, I just hit this check mark to apply, and then it'll ask me for confirmation and shows you a little list of things. And then you got your output down here where you can kind of monitor. And also we can go in here like into options under tools. And typically I like to change my build directory. By default, I think it's in /var or temp. And so I like to do it in my home folder, because typically on my own machines, I have a separate partition for my home folder, which is my big partition, and then a smaller partition for my root install. So I don't like having the build folder in my root install. And so that's typically what I change, just because that way I'm not wasting space on my root. But if you don't have a dual partition, doesn't really matter that much, I guess. And yay is our default, but here you can also select to not use the AUR at all, and then pack AUR is the alternative. Cool. So I'll hit OK there, and those changes take effect after the restart, which is not overly necessary. There's my cousin. Nah, I'm kidding. So there we go. Octopi. A couple years ago, I discovered Octopi through Manjaro, and I didn't like it back then, but I do now, actually. And here's kind of a cool thing under utilities. This is a news app. Kalu is kind of cool. This is a way you can kind of keep in touch with some of the Linux news, Arch stuff, and beyond. So that's a kind of a cool little app. You can also see Linux news inside Octopi. I forgot to show you that, but if we go in Octopi here, like File and get latest distro news, and that'll switch your tab over to news and download the latest. Probably if you just hit the tab there, it does the same thing, but there you go. So you can look at all kinds of different relevant news and stuff that way through Octopi as well. So I just thought I'd throw that in there for anybody that didn't know that and actually cared. All right, continuing on. And then we got our lost and found and power settings here. So here's where you shut down, restart, and all that good stuff. And then our favorites bar over here. This got our favorites, and so that's always nice to have handy. And let's take a look at our desktop and wallpaper configuration. I just right click there, by the way, on the desktop. And so our default here is our desktop layout, and then our wallpaper is set to scale and crop, but you can also select folder view here for your layout, and that'll change it to a folder view. So if I hit apply, then all my little widgets over here just slid to the other side. So I guess that was kind of a mistake. It kind of justified everything. So I'm going to go back to desktop, and they didn't go back. Well, yeah, not a big deal. I mean, widgets are easy to move around. You can have them anywhere you want. So all I got to do is just right click here on a widget and go into edit mode. And that'll put all the widgets in edit mode. And now I can just slide them over back to the other side where they were. So I can stick that guy up there and take this guy and put it over here. And I don't really care what order they're in. Don't remember where they were anyway. And then this guy over here, and maybe this guy up on top. Right there. There we go. Nice. Yes. And then you just simply jump out of edit mode when you're done, and you're good to go. So let's check out some wallpapers. 3D Hercules, or 3D hex cubes. That's kind of cool. I like that. That is neat. Typically, I don't use busy wallpapers with my icons, but that kind of works, even with the shapes. That's nice too. That's really cool. I like the colors in there. Yeah, it looks like a really great selection of wallpaper here. Lots of things to choose from. Even has a 2021 BMW. I love that green color. Wow. That's sweet. Yeah, that is a keeper in most instances. However, I have a 2021 Mercedes, and she might get a little jealous if she finds out that I have a BMW on my desktop. Yeah, I better find something else. How about this? Ah, that is gorgeous. Wow, love that color. They caught that splash right at the right time. Looks like a mushroom. That's neat. And we're running desktop 3.0. I think I'm going to keep that wallpaper on there. That works for me. It's got just the right kind of combination of colors and non-busyness. And there's our K runner. I think I showed you that before, the keystroke or the keyboard shortcut. And then over here we got our weather app. And it looks like it's set by default to Bonn, Germany. Cool. And if I remember right, this weather widget, I think, is kind of going extinct. I don't think they support this anymore. I could be wrong. So, don't hold me to that. But I thought I heard somewhere that they were kind of doing away with this one widget. But hopefully not, because I like weather widgets. And then here's our unit settings. By default, it's at centigrade. So it looks like it's a little cold in Bonn today, a few degrees below freezing. And then here, of course, we can also edit our top panel here. This is our KDE panel, so this is where your settings are for that. And there's your panel height. So if I wanted to make that wider, I could do that just by changing that. And then under more options, here we got separate settings for your left, right, and center or alignment. So I hit left and it goes off to the side. And center is in the center, of course. And right would be right. And then here's your visibility. It's auto hiding by default, but you can also make it always visible. And you can even maximize the panel and make it always visible if you want. And so now it's maximized, so it's going all the way across the top. So if you like that look better, you can do that there too. Or you can even drag it down to the bottom and get rid of the Latte dock if you want a traditional look. And so now if you want to change that back to make it smaller again, just grab the edge here on this white area and see how that's, when you slide it, it's adjusting the size of that. So you can make that any size pretty much. And so if I just kind of stick it maybe right in there, then you can return it back to being more like a kind of a drop-down dock. So that kind of minimizes the panel there. And that's how you do that. Cool and groovy. So I gotta tell you, this is impressing me overall. The only thing I'm not real impressed with is the theming. I think that part could probably be better, unless I'm totally missing something, but I doubt it. But anyways, the theming does look pretty good if you don't care about the menus and stuff. But other than the menus and toolbars, It's kind of a cool color scheme in a way, but for me personally, that would probably be the first thing I'd change after installing this, is getting a different theme. And here's a please donate too, so don't forget to donate. That icon up there to support the cause. And so overall, I gotta say, this is a really super nice distro. It feels really smooth and stable. And I love the fact that you get all of these choices with the multimedia stuff in there and Wine installed by default. I think is just too cool. So that part I'm really liking. And the Octopi ran smoothly. I love that that's in there by default. Really nice. And of course, you can always install PanMac if you like the visual stuff too. Easy peasy on Arch. So overall, and it's also very, very good on resources. The resource usage is great. And I like the little conky in the corner, which I kind of made disappear when I changed the mode by mistake. and the little widgets and all this. Really nice the way it's set up. So definitely something I would recommend. I think this is a really nice distro and definitely worth a look. So if you want to load that into a virtual box or put it on a computer, I would say go for it. This is one to go for. And just remember to maybe try to find a good KDE theme if you don't want to go with the default. Otherwise, if you like light mode, you know, you're good anyway. Excellent. So there you have it. I hope this review was helpful. And if it was, don't forget to leave that thumbs up and hit subscribe. Thanks again for watching, and we'll see you next time.